back to another edition of Let's Take 5, the podcast where we look at one of the greats in cinema and sort of discuss their excellence and range. My name is Ray Martindale.
I'm Austin Ligger.
And today we are doing our wrap-up episode of our Super 5. The previous films we covered were Superman, Batman, The Dark Knight, Captain America, Civil War, and we finished off with Logan. But today it's the wrap-up episode, and this means the more casual episode where we're going to be discussing comics, discussing comic book movies, and the like. And just in case you thought you were getting away without a guest, we have brought two in the wrap-up. My friends, and I hope yours soon, David Jesse, or Mango Dave.
Mango Dave,
Mango Dave,
yeah.
And Alex Dunning.
What's up? All
right, so we brought these two gentlemen on because in lieu of more distinguished guests, I doubt that there's anyone in the Chicago metropolitan area that knows more about comics than these two. At least I haven't met them yet. So I'm puffing their chests a little bit. So they're on their show to talk about that today and talk about comics and all that. Does that make sense?
It is. I think I have a first question for our guests, which is we've told you what the 5 are. We've told you kind of why we picked these 5. Did we do well? Are these good representations of 5 different depictions of superhero movies?
We'll start with Alex. That way they can put a voice with the name.
Sure.
All right.
First off, thanks for having us. I think.
Which one do we screw up?
No, I think with the selections you guys chose, I think even just the. With the amount of money they made in their eras, and the critical reception even to all of them too, I think it, and like you guys said before we started recording about different kind of like eras of comic book films, and what they sort of did to pop culture in set eras, and I think that what you guys chose is a perfect representation of. I mean, I think like with Captain America Civil War, you could almost pick... You could pick even like Iron Man, let's say, just because it started the whole thing 9 years ago, 2 days ago, actually, which is pretty crazy to think about.
This is why you're on the podcast,
which is what's coming next year. But I think this is a really good choosing list, and I'm excited to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you, Alex. The only thing, I mean, I would like to see Iron Man on this list, just because it started it off, and then it became this multi-billion-dollar thing in Hollywood now, so that's the only thing. But I love Civil War, don't get me wrong.
You know, as far as like movies are concerned, I think I like Iron Man more than Civil War. I think, I hope I'm not wrong here, because Austin's going to correct me if I'm not, or if I am. I think Civil War, we were trying to maybe go with more of what the result was rather than what started it, if that makes sense in a weird way, because what it is now could not, is not what it was then.
Wouldn't even exist 15 years ago.
This is the apex of the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now.
The culmination of everything, too, to have that many different characters as well. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah, and I think in a lot of regards it's probably the biggest achievement, that somehow those movies continually put those many characters on the screen and each one have their own individual arcs in each sort of episode. I mean, it's essentially, as you've labeled it, Austin, the most expensive television show of all time.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because even with something that's so popular as Game of Thrones, there's still the joke 6 seasons in that people watch the show who love the show still go, wait, who's that? That really doesn't happen for Marvel films. So when I rewatched Civil War for this show, I was kind of shocked that, like, yeah, Vision is just there. Vision is a weirdo character that no one in my theater was like, who the fuck is that? They all saw Age of Ultron, they all saw all of these movies because none of them bombed.
In Age of Ultron, Vision shows up, and I think I'm supposed to get really excited. and what's fun, it's almost ironic because I think Paul Bettany is a fine actor. It's just, God, that character bores me to death. He's my least favorite part of Civil War. So, but anyway, regardless, I guess if you were forced, I mean, if both of you guys on, I'll start with you, David, this time. If you were forced to remove one and add one, I'm more curious about which one you would want to talk about. Like you said, Iron Man, but Which one would you just take out Civil War and put Iron Man on?
I would, yeah.
I'm trying to get you to talk about Watchmen.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm trying to rephrase a question that was already posed. But Watchmen is missing from this list.
Yeah.
And you like Watchmen.
I do. I think I might have read the book at least 12 times now.
I thought you were just going to say, I think I might have read the book.
At least 12 times now. And the movie, I think, is just okay.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at it, don't get me wrong. I think it's far more violent in some scenes than what the book is.
Yeah.
Would have been a perfect 12-episode miniseries.
Yeah,
if
he just would have taken his time with it and turn it into like a 12-episode miniseries and incorporate the Black Freighter in there as well, I think that would have been great. I think that would have been absolutely outstanding. But I think whenever you're adapting something, whenever you're adapting a comic book into a movie, you're going to lose a lot of things. And I think the director and also the screenwriter is also going to take a lot of liberties with the source material. But specifically about with Watchmen is that it's not so much with the book. Well, it's not what the story is as much as how it's being told, especially in the graphic novel, because I think all of the panels are lined up 3x3, so that way whenever you get to a really important scene in the book, it stands out more. You don't get the same feeling with the movie, I think. Right. Yeah.
You know, the movie always, I felt like, had a sense that it knew what the story it was telling was epic.
Right.
I don't know if it always necessarily achieved that effect. Mm. There were instances that I thought were really good. I thought the whole, like, Philip Glass music, Dr. Manhattan's stuff was great.
Yeah.
Actually, in general, I think they did pretty good job with Dr. Manhattan and Rorschach too.
The scene on Mars, I think, is the pinnacle of the movie.
And that's
itself.
To me, that's the pinnacle of the book too.
So,
but I'm just, I'm an optimist like that because I always had this debate all the time. I'm like, Rorschach is the antagonist, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, everyone loves him so much and they root for him so much. And I go, this guy's gonna ruin everything. That's always interesting.
Well, Watchmen, I really liked the book. I've seen the movie like only once or twice, and thought it was good. I'm a cliche. I really like the opening credit sequence.
Oh my god,
that's my favorite part of the movie.
Awesome.
It is really good.
And that's what made me feel that it was epic, was from the small things like that. But Watchmen is also a story really best known for criticizing a lot of these very close to images we have of superheroes. Dr. Manhattan is very much inspired by Superman. There's a Batman as well in this. You're looking at the 5 films that we covered in the past 5 weeks. Aside from possibly Superman, all of these films kind of all have the idea of why are they superheroes? And is that something that is always kind of fundamental in a superhero story that you guys have seen? Of kind of questioning why they're donning the cape?
Well, I think that I don't think every movie, but I definitely think it's something that if it's not in the first movie, then it would probably be in the sequel, or at some point, if it's popular enough, you have to deconstruct what makes this person tick. Why does Bruce Wayne dress up as Batman? What makes him have the drive and to go out and do that all the time?
The answer is he's a psychopath.
He's got issues.
He's got issues,
to say the least.
No, you're right. Were you about to say more on that?
No, not really. But I think it makes for a really. I think like when it comes also like an origin story, when it's looking at like the past, sometimes I know that can get exhausting once in a while to keep rehashing, especially with a really popular character like Spider-Man or Batman. It's like, okay, we know his origin. It's really important, and that's one of the really cool things I like about the Watchmen. Go back to the Watchmen credits is it's an abridged history of this universe of. Like what came before it and what came out of it, and it's to go through almost I think it's like 40 years to the present day, 1985 when it takes place. It's just I think that's why it's so effective too.
It's like Zack Snyder's one real stroke of genius.
Yeah.
It's the Watchmen credits sequence.
And he's such a polarizing director too.
Yeah.
That I think that's a good idea that you didn't actually include it because just. because talking about the movie, you have to talk about the comic, which is one of the most, if not the most influential graphic novel that's ever been written.
Yeah, I think Time. They always say Time Magazine's top 100 novels. Watchmen always makes it on there. We're recommending read it.
Yeah, it's something in itself. I mean, they teach college courses on it, on just the book.
Yeah.
So I think that's, to have it on the list, since the source material is, and of course, be biased, or some people may not like it or not, but for the regard that it has, you can't not compare it. You can't not say the movie's better. You can't, without having to defend it. I mean, just the book alone. I mean, David could talk about it for probably 3 hours.
Well, I think if you're going to do comic book movies and then compare it to the comic books and the origin stories of where all these superheroes come from, I think the best thing that the comic book movies do is just add supplemental material to the comic books.
Yeah, well, they almost have to, because most comic book movies are about a character rather than a specific graphic novel.
Right.
I mean, you got like V for Vendetta, you got The Crow, you got Watchmen, but by and large...
It's funny, because Civil War, in the official legal credits, it is crediting Mark Millar for the Civil War run in Marvel, which I have read, and this is not the same as that. At all. No. But they definitely said Civil War in the title, and they just wanted to double check.
See, I was trying to find a way to thread a needle where we could somehow talk about The Crow. And by the way, I guess the one thing I failed to mention about these wrap-ups, we typically focus a little more on things we weren't able to cover, like with somebody or with something. It's kind of what we're doing here. But then I realized The Crow, even though the comic book existed, and I love that graphic novel, that movie wouldn't exist without Batman '89. I mean, the entire marketing campaign, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, for The Crow was just taking shots at Batman. We're darker than Batman. I mentioned this already on our Batman '89 podcast, but I had a Crow poster where the literal slogan for the movie, it's got this Brandon Lee's beautiful Crow, the slogan was darker than the Bat.
He's so punk rock.
I know. And I like that movie a lot. Where do you guys stand on The Crow? He's gritting his teeth over there.
I haven't watched it as much as... I assume you or Eric have.
I saw it for the first time 2 months ago.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah.
Word?
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I liked it a lot.
I think it's definitely dated.
For sure. Absolutely.
It's so dated, but there is a charm to it.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say it's one that I'd like pop in and rewatch.
Prior to the reason I'm bringing it up is because I feel like prior to Batman Begins and which was the beginning of a sort of a new comic book movie renaissance started by Christopher Nolan. Then Marvel did their own thing. They didn't copy off that was their own. But that sort of kicked off, a new golden age as far as comic book movies are concerned, or the only golden age. But movies like The Crow, before Batman Begins, that would have made a top 5 comic book movie list. It would have been there.
Especially for just
now it's
direct
fair.
for a direct adaptation too. Absolutely, it would be in the top 5, top 3.
Exactly. I mean, what are you going to have outside of that prior to Batman Begins? 4 Batman movies?
Right.
I know. And by the way, when I say 4 Batman movies, I'm counting Batman Begins, and I'm also counting The Mask of the Phantasm, because that's a great movie.
That is a great movie. Yeah.
So there was an interesting period where there were these kind of more independent superhero movies. We just covered none of them, basically. You had the Crow, which is still a studio, right? But not as big as the other ones. What was that crazy ass Sam Raimi movie with Liam Neeson? In the mid-90s. Darkman.
Yeah, Darkman.
I can't believe I knew that. I've never seen the movie.
Oh, I've seen it. It's bonkers.
Wow.
It was kind of it became popular, but it still wasn't enough to really put. You had Tank Girl. This is mid-90s.
The
right?
Shadow.
Oh, The Shadow.
Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
What about Billy Zane?
Billy Zane.
Phantom, Billy Zane.
Wow.
That's an old
That's
one.
old school,
That's
30s.
Yeah.
So you had
Sounds
all
a
these
radio serial.
Yeah.
So you had all these really small things, because the only thing that was really kind of big, right, in the 90s was the Batman films, right? On that level.
Yeah.
And then Batman and Robin happened and just kind of died until Bryan Singer made a rather good X-Men film.
Right. And we were kind of talking about this beforehand, and I thought Alex brought up a kind of interesting perspective we'll address right here. So I mean, as we talked about on the Logan podcast, X-Men was kind of the movie that sort of saved or righted the ship of comic book movies after Batman, Batman and Robin, and in a lot of ways for that, at least mainstream speaking, may have been maybe the most important movie on that we didn't cover on the list. I mean, we covered Logan, but the original X-Men, even though I don't like the movie all that much. But from a comic book perspective, or comic book fan perspective, Alex immediately said Blade instead of X-Men, so that's a movie that I didn't even consider covering on here. So you like Blade, then?
Oh, yeah, the first two.
I think
the third one, the older you get and going back to... That one's collecting the most dust on the shelf, I should say. But I think the first two... The second one with Guillermo del Toro coming in... just made it. I think the second one is personally the best one that's been made. But yeah, I do think that. I think X-Men still kickstarted the new wave. It was a little bit more grounded, than the fantastical. Like it almost seemed like Batman with Schumacher was going backwards towards the '60s Adam West Batman.
Absolutely,
right.
Where it's like, and don't get me wrong, like Batman's gone through a lot of iterations throughout the eras. There was the zany Joker, where he actually didn't kill people. He just played pranks on people.
Right.
And then Alan Moore got his hands on him. Now it's, and I think Blade is just kind of one of those forgotten movies a little bit too. I think it was kind of like near like the downslope of probably Wesley Snipes' like popularity too, which I think is kind of why it's a little bit forgotten too. Like you think like Demolition Man, you think some of these other like movies.
Demolition Man, that is a guilty pleasure.
I have not seen that, but I have seen White Men Can't Jump.
There you go. There you go. New Jack City, some of those, but I think it's a looked over movie, but I think it definitely didn't have as much influence as X-Men. Definitely did.
Which one do you like better, Blade 1 or 2?
2.
2.
Two.
Oh,
But I can't deny some of the really badass shit in 1. And yeah, the CGI is not nearly as good. Like, it's really, really fucking dated. But
See, no, I thought you were going to say Man of Steel starring Shaquille O'Neal.
oh, you mean Steel?
Is it just Steel?
Just Steel.
Oh, it's just Steel? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
No, that's not.
He is a man.
No, not that one. But honestly, just because the back-to-back, when you went from X-Men and then in 2002 going to Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, I remember that teaser trailer back when dial-up was the main source of internet, going over to a friend's house and begging him to keep replaying it so I could just keep watching it. Because this was before YouTube and everything, so you had to, like, QuickTime or whatever, way back when. Yeah, it was just... Those two just right away, back to back, within those 2 years, it just like kick-started something, and people just really ate it up.
Yeah.
And the second X-Men movie, I think, is definitely.
I think it's far superior.
Yeah, it stands
Oh,
up.
yeah.
It stands up as one of the all-time classics.
Yeah.
It's Bryan Singer's easily his best X-Men.
It's
movie.
my second favorite X-Men movie. Now Logan's my favorite, but and I do feel like Logan is
Which is
an
so
X-Men
odd.
movie.
Yeah.
Like it works as an X-Men movie. It works honestly as good as the final X-Men movie.
Yeah.
I think. Were you about to say something, David? You're taking these deep
Yeah,
breaths.
deep breaths. Yeah. I was just thinking about what came first. Was it Spider-Man or was it X-Men? Was it
X-Men.
X-Men?
X-Men
Was it
came
X-Men?
first,
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
2002 was Spider-Man. 2003 was X-Men
Okay,
2.
gotcha. Never mind then.
Well, I want to go back to what Alex was saying about that Spider-Man teaser, because something about all these films, even Logan, there's something about superhero films that will always have an element of hope to them. Even when you were deconstructing them, that's definitely always allowed in any sort of genre. But like, rewatching Civil War, when Spider-Man poses with Captain America's shield, that means something. You're watching these characters for these sparks, what makes them so great. And for you guys, what makes like Superman and Batman and these Marvel characters, like, what makes them stand the test of time? Like, Batman's around 75 years, right? That's crazy for a character.
That's a big question.
Yeah.
Also, favorite color. Answer whatever you want first.
I think with Superman, it's just he's the guy, he's the hero that everyone aspires to be. Everybody wishes that they could be like Superman. The Boy Scout, right? Always does the right thing. Always inspires hope in other people every time you're around. And is so just selfless. With Batman, I think it's we definitely want to be like the Bat, but we're all humans and we all have limited means. We're not, Space Jesus or anything like that.
We are not Space Jesus.
Yeah. So there's a human quality, of course, to Batman that all of us can latch onto because we don't have power rings. We don't have, a robotic arm or anything like that, and we're not from some hidden island. We grow up and we grow with our pain, and much like Batman does, some of us might have lost mothers and fathers. Some of us haven't gone through that, but we want to be able to rise above what hurts us the most so that we can help other people.
I've always rejected this claim, but I never know where I can back this, where this comes from, where this backs this up. First of all, I think that it's probably arguable, but I think that Batman's the most popular superhero outside of maybe Spider-Man.
I think today he is.
Yeah.
I think it was Superman for many decades.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But today I think it's Batman.
And
He was
then,
first.
yeah, and then it was the big.
He had a head start.
The big thing there, but people always say like, why Batman? Like, why? And we have 2 Batman movies on this list, and I think the easy answer most people believe is that he's not a superhero. Like he bleeds.
And he's just so much cooler. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I personally, of all the things I'm obsessed with,
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with Gotham City. Batman's, he has the best rogues gallery, and he has the coolest life when you think about it.
Yeah, he's.
Oh man, I should have pitched for you. Imagine him as 12 years old.
Hey, I watch
Everyone else
Gotham,
is
and I'm
doing
like,
stuff.
yeah.
Well, that's what I like about you, Alex, is that even you'll wade through the shit. Like, you'll get down there and dirty. You'll watch your Gotham.
Well, I've seen all of Gotham.
But it's weird. Like,
terrible.
I always reject that claim in a weird way without anything to ever back this up. It's like repealing Obamacare. I don't know I don't know where I'm going. I don't know I don't know how to defend it. I just know that that's not right to me. Like I liked Batman when I was 4. He was my favorite superhero. I was obsessed with Batman. I was obsessed with the movie. And I'm not really sure where that came from, but I don't think I had the intellectual capacity to say, well, it's because he doesn't have superpowers. There's almost something else about him.
Something that connected for me was, and this doesn't work when Robin is involved, but I always liked Batman's sense of independence. Like, he's the one guy dressed in black who can go in and take care of everybody.
He's
like,
resourceful, to say the least.
He has a billion gadgets. He has the coolest car. Batman alone could save the day.
Oh, yeah.
And then Robin's here as well.
Yeah, it's so funny. The most famous sidekick probably ever to the one hero that
Does not
need a sidekick at all. It's just so weird. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, there are iterations in comic books even where I do like Robin. I think Dark Victory's Robin's best comic, even though that's mainly a Two-Face comic. But I think a lot of it came from a mutual love from Batman, but also of the Joker. And then the extension of that being Batman's villains are just so good.
Yeah.
They are so good.
It's his environment and his surroundings.
Exactly.
And his supporting cast that I think makes Batman as interesting as he is.
Yeah, and I think he's great on his own right. I think that Spider-Man's great in his own right too. But
He's a pretty good rogue scout.
I think he's got the second best.
he's got the second best one, but why? Like, why is he the second best? Because of what you just said. I mean, like, that's the thing. Like, I remember thinking Dr. Octopus was awesome. And just like I remember thinking that the Joker is incredible, and specifically the Jack Nicholson performance, because I know that Austin doesn't share that opinion, but that's what I grew up with, so that's what I had. And then, of course, the animated series with Mark Hamill. He had the best TV show.
Mark Hamill was my personal favorite.
He's my favorite Joker as well.
Every time I think of the Joker, I always
his voice when I'm reading the comic.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm the same way.
But to go back to what you guys were saying about Superman versus Batman, where it comes down to sort of what is it all about, I think? Well, I think Batman, is just, it's literally about a boy fulfilling a promise. That's the basis of it, and he's doing everything with his willpower, with his money, with any resources he can, just to fulfill a promise. I mean, to his parents. It's just to his dead parents. At their grave, he promised to do everything he could.
And that's incredible, and I think that's partly what adds to what makes The Dark Knight so good, is because in The Dark Knight you get that whole parallel with Gotham, and and you talked about this, Austin, when Batman becomes the system. Like, literally, when he's judge, jury, and executioner, now we've created a fundamentally worse problem than we had before. We don't actually, the judges and the juries and the crime scene investigators and all that, everyone relies on Batman, and when that happens, what if he decides to break his one rule? It's interesting. Like, I don't know, I really like that movie and part of that, but I know we're spending a lot of time on Batman here.
But when you talk about Batman and Joker, that's, and there you go, that's the root of just their relationship, is that all he wants to do is prove to Joker that I'm not going to kill. Chaos doesn't reign. Like, there can be order, and it can happen. And all Joker wants to do is he doesn't care if he dies. He's like, I win. I win.
Yes.
That's why he always says, we'll be doing this for a long time. And so that's definitely, I think, one of the best antagonist-protagonist relationships, too. And then with Superman, it's like, well, that's an illegal immigrant coming to America, crash landing in America, and being one of the best citizens, like you said, the Boy Scouts. Seriously. So
I always looked at him as Space Jesus for me. That's the
first time I've heard that.
But we knew what he meant, too.
Yeah, exactly. I marvel at that. So Austin's here to ask all the difficult questions, and then I'm here to ask all the fun ones. He's the intellectual. He's Batman, and I'm the Joker. So, David, kick it to you.
He complimented me.
Kick it to you, David. Give me, just on the other side of things. I'm just curious. Normally, I wouldn't ask this question because we're sort of celebrating the art of mortal here. But
thank you for being our brand.
I know. But what superhero movie disappointed you the most, and why?
Well, I know which one it is.
Yeah,
Because I think we saw it together.
Yeah, it was Green Lantern.
Yeah.
It is so bad. And
I also saw this film.
So is it just a matter of it being bad, or you actually disappointment too? Because I never thought that movie was going to be good.
Yeah, I even think whenever the trailer came out, the studio even apologized for it. They said, "Hey guys, we're sorry. Here's a new trailer."
And Hal Jordan's your favorite character.
He's my favorite.
Right?
He's my favorite superhero. He's my favorite superhero. So it's like
Makes sense.
Yeah, I'm getting salt rubbed in the wound here. This is bad.
So what is it when a superhero movie doesn't work? Like, what is that? What's going on when that happens?
How about first describe the character of Green Lantern as you know it, and then tell what this film did.
Okay, so Green Lantern.
See, he's Batman. I'm the Joker. Chaos and disorderly, and there you go.
Hal Jordan. He's the first Green Lantern ever in the history. He's the first human Green Lantern in the history of the DC universe, right? Like, that's a big deal.
Sure.
This ring came to Earth and chose him specifically based on his willpower. So he's basically like a space cop. Mm-hmm. That's the best way to put it. He's like a space cop. And so he goes around and goes on these adventures and makes sure that there's order within the DC universe, right? But with this specific movie, it just completely failed on all levels of capturing who Hal Jordan is, I think. Hal Jordan isn't some smarmy little guy like Ryan Reynolds. Don't get me wrong, he can be, a little silly. He can be kind of dumb.
He's a cocky flyboy.
He can be a cocky flyboy, yeah. But it's with this movie, it was just so mishandled with what it wanted to do and what it wanted to build. Because at the end, I think it was set up. It's set up for a
Sinestro.
sequel. Yeah, Sinestro.
Mark Strong.
In the worst after credits scene of all time.
Yeah.
The guy who was the mentor and aide and not evil the whole movie, at mid credits goes, "But guess what? I'm evil." And put on the ring.
And puts on the yellow ring now.
And holds.
There's no build up to it at all.
No,
there's a total disservice to the character.
Yeah.
It's just
and
really
the
weird.
whole entire the world of the Green Lantern is.
That's interesting. For a couple reasons.
Yeah.
You're the first person I've ever met that thought Green Lantern was their favorite superhero.
Yeah.
So that's interesting in that respect. And then two, it's more of a question. So to you, then, it's a matter of getting the person behind the mask. That's the most important. You have to get the character. Now, does that mean being good, or does that mean being faithful to the source material? Because Those aren't necessarily synonymous.
Right.
So what, I mean, is that what makes these movies go awry when they do? Because there's plenty of bad comic book movies. We forget that because Marvel is on a roll.
If the characterization is accurate,
Right.
So what the character is like in the comic,
yeah.
the story can be whatever. Because why would you actually honestly want a straight adaptation of a story? It's right there on the page.
Right.
They're both visual mediums. You can just take liberties with stories. Maybe like you said with Civil War. It's nothing like the 2007 miniseries.
Yeah.
Neither was Age of Ultron, the movie. It was nothing like the 2013 series. There's a bunch of time travel, shit like that. Good stuff, but
Even in BVS, Batman
killed
so many people in that movie. Yeah.
So you got basically then you alienate an audience. You have a whole group of people out there that are Batman fans saying angry because he's killing people, and then you have a whole other group of people that don't really care about Batman doing that, going there wondering why the hero of my movie is murdering people.
That's right. The movie fans probably don't really care that much. The fanboys of the comics are up in arms about it.
Right.
Well, I'm a movie fan first, and when I saw Green Lantern, I had never read a Green Lantern comic. Actually, still haven't. I played him in the video game. But I was thrown off just as a characterization because the basic components for a story is a character wants something, they can't get it, conflict. That's what a plot is. And he didn't want anything the whole movie.
No.
He was kind of fine with being fired. He was kind of nonchalant about getting a ring. He kind of thought about quitting earlier and then didn't. And then something's going to kill the planet. He's like, I guess I should do that. And then it ended. I'm like,
and now I
he
care.
didn't struggle
Yeah.
about anything in this whole movie. Or even like, he didn't break a sweat. So it was strange. Also, it's strange that we've given Ryan Reynolds so many chances at superhero movies because he's in Blade 3. He's in X-Men Origins Wolverine. He's in Green Lantern. And now he's Deadpool.
I mean, he technically played the same character in Origins, but it was a bastardization of the character, like with his Green Lantern.
But he's had 3 bad superhero movies.
That's the right.
Let's give him a franchise. One more shot.
You know, the reason, in a weird way, the reason I brought that up is because comic book movies are they're a cesspool for one of my biggest cinema pet peeves. Probably like number 2. When characters, just because they're in a superhero movie, can do things supernatural. Like, I'll give a perfect example of this. I hated Spider-Man 2. This is when I first started to realize that, like, I'm different than people sometimes. Like, I'd always gone with the crowd, but then I was like, everyone loves Spider-Man 2, and I go, that movie sucks. Mm-hmm. Why is old Aunt May able to hang on to a broom for 5 minutes on the side of a building? That's ridiculous. And then I started applying that to like other movies that I've watched in my life. Why does Ninja Turtles 3 suck? Because they went back in time. It's already, them being mutant turtles wasn't enough? They had to go back in time? Like, I really hate when that stuff happens. And Spider-Man was just like, nuts with that. Superman Returns opens up. They're on a plane. The plane's crashing. Superman saving the plane is fine. Having Lois Lane in there not buckled in, getting her head smashed against the floor and the ceiling, walking off the plane totally fine is not fine. Well, that's really dumb.
She's a great reporter.
So it's fine. Yeah. So it is fine. So like that was always like my thing, and like it always bothered me when I would see that in superhero movies. And like Batman was great. Batman 2 had penguins with rocket launchers on their backs. They don't do that. Okay? They can't do that. So as long as the rules are established in a certain way, like you can pretty much now with a Marvel movie get away with just about anything, provided it's one of those characters getting away with it. And the big thing bothering me in the Marvel films, which is weird, we haven't talked about them so much, is I was like, there's so many people getting murdered in all of these set pieces.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
This needs to be addressed at some point. Like, this is getting insane.
And I texted you, wait, one more film.
Yeah, then Civil War starts to finally address it. It's like, thank God. Every one of these movies went up a half a star to me at this point. So,
I mean, in the Avengers, a quarter of New York was just absolutely leveled by aliens.
And they're having burgers afterwards. No, it is, like, that was the big thing that was bothering me there. I don't know. That was a long-winded Eric wanted to talk moment. I have those.
Well, the last big thing I want to cover is there are a lot of superhero eras still happening now. There are more X-Men films coming. Hugh Jackman won't be in them. There are going to be roughly 30 million more Marvel films. Justice League is coming out. Presumably, more DC films might come out. Where are these going? And do you see a thing perhaps being a new era of possibility coming up?
Well, I think a big thing right now in pop culture, and not Marvel definitely started the trend of interconnected universes and continuity and rewarding longtime viewers. That a lot of different studios now are trying to do that. They're going to start doing spin-offs with like Transformers, and of course DC jumped on the bandwagon. They just did it in reverse. Yeah. They went. I mean.
They needed like 4 more movies.
Yeah, instead of doing the solo movies and the team-up movie, they did... When Zack Snyder claims that these 3 DC movies, not including Suicide Squad, he looks at it as a Superman trilogy, which is fine. I mean, I think everyone was like, holy shit, Batman in the second one. Yeah. Like, yes, all right, cool.
Well, it's funny because they've not officially said if Superman's going to be in Justice League. Because he's totally dead, right? He's totally dead. He's really, really dead.
Not yet. The dirt moved on his coffin.
Never mind. He's fine.
Yeah, he's okay.
3 days have passed.
He'll rise again.
There you go.
Yes, I hate that shit. Do not bring superheroes back to life. Pet peeve number 4.
Right. I do think, though, that Kevin Feige, the executive producer for all these Marvel movies, kind of the guy who oversees all the films, and he says after next year Infinity War, which, by the way, you guys talking about Civil War having the most characters. Infinity War, they said they're going to have, I think it was 63 characters.
How is that movie not going to be 3.5 hours long?
Well,
I hope it is.
It's 2 films.
I hope it is. I really do. And of course, like a lot of these they're going to probably be 2 or 3 scenes and that's it. But after that movie, it's going to be the end of the 3rd phase of the Marvel movies. He says after that, it's going to be taking kind of a different direction. So I don't think there's going to be as much connectivity.
I think he's leaving, right?
I don't know if he would. I mean, you're kind of at top. I mean, I'm sure he could find a really great job, take over the Bond franchise or something. You know, get other directors. I mean, whatever you want.
Do anything you want.
Really, yeah. Making the president of Disney Studios. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, but it's going to start now being like kind of like how Logan, which is so incredible because even the X-Men movies. Carrying over with some of these spin-offs, and then now with the prequels, with First Class and everything, and then for their best X-Men movie to be a standalone R-rated, which is absolutely where Wolverine lives in. It's incredible, and I think that also now they're taking more approaches with different kinds of directors, like the guy doing the 3rd Thor movie. I cannot pronounce his name, but
Taika Waititi?
Yeah. They did What We Do in the Shadows. And worked on Flight of the Conchords and Hunt for the Wilder People. They're handing this guy, who primarily does a lot of comedy that has also, but some heart too, and they're giving him a Viking God, end of the world, end of Asgard story, and it's just like, how are they going to do this?
I think that's like the best one to probably experiment on in some way, just because, even though I'm the random guy that loves the Thor movies, those are probably the one the one character you would want to say you could probably experiment with that one, just because they're not as popular as...
Well, in that case...
Because people love Thor, but people don't necessarily love the Thor movies.
Right.
Then I wish they had a new director for Ant-Man 2, because Ant-Man 1's pretty to me. But it's the same guy back. But they just hired the directors for Captain Marvel, and it's another indie duo. It's the people who made Half Nelson and Sugar and Mississippi Grind from last year with Ryan Reynolds and Ben Mendelsohn. Yeah. Like, these are really good people who have never had a budget more than like $40 million, now doing the beginning of a new character for them.
I hope you're right, Alex. I hope that part of the direction is sort of a little more experimental, or something like Logan, where I'm sure that movie was made for $100 million, but it felt like it was made for $30 million. Mm-hmm. It just felt smaller, and in that sense, the character was really able to stretch his wings. The R rating that you mentioned too, that it wasn't like just an R rating for the 15 minutes of extra features on the DVD when it finally comes out. Right. The movie used its R rating effectively. Right. Like there was violence that needed to be done and needed to happen, and the movie felt better for it. It was the first time I felt like a superhero actually got punched since The Dark Knight Rises. I mean seriously, like it just the immortality of some of these characters kind of gets on my nerves, and I loved it in The Dark Knight. A huge point in The Dark Knight Rises, a huge point of those films was that, God, he's got bruises. God, he's stitching himself up. Like, this guy's getting the crap beat out of him every night. And then Logan finally did that, and I'm like, that's part of it to me. So I hope that they do go more hero-centric, smaller, just for a little bit.
Right.
Just play with that for a little bit. Because Logan had way more in common with, like, a Breaking Bad episode than it did a Marvel episode or a Marvel movie. Anyway,
And it was also, and to go piggyback on that is just also how just smaller scale it was with them. It's a plot point. It doesn't give anything away, but with there being such a limited amount of mutants in the universe, it makes the risk even bigger, but it also makes it a much more intimate, I think, story and an approach. Whereas like some of these Marvel movies, especially the Avengers movies, are like you said, like it's always like the end of the world, and it's not like
it's the end of the world, but nobody's dying.
It's not, but it's like we're like with Batman. It's like no, I just don't want Gotham's second bank to get robbed by Two-Face again on Tuesday the 2nd. So not like I got to save the entire world. You know, it's more
it's contained.
It's a self-contained.
Yeah.
Whereas like with Days of Future Past, which I am a fan of when it comes to the prequels, like that had so much like jumping back in time and then going forward and then resetting history and then fixing things where it could get almost kind of convoluted a little bit. And then for them to take this, and it was just, I think it was the perfect character study for the character of Logan. Absolutely. I think it encompassed so much of what he was before he joined the X-Men. He just showing him reverting back to it. Don't bother me. I'm just trying to sleep in my limo, you know? Stop stealing my tires. You know, these really human things.
But then on
that he's
that
dealing
switch,
with.
that you wanted the animal type of thing, you know, like it always feels like it's not his fault that he has to murder people. It's like, man, you know what?
I didn't want to do this. I want to just talk about it.
But now I have to kill all 20 of you.
I'm really worried that Logan is an anomaly because my biggest bummer about Hollywood in the past couple of years is that there is no more $30 million movie. And so all these kind of cool personal stories has shifted to TV, and we were recording this a couple weeks prior, and as of right now, today, Netflix's The Defenders trailer came out. Everyone loved that more than a summer blockbuster trailer that came out today.
And, sorry to jump in, but the Dark Tower trailer comes out,
and
that looked... Dark Tower should look like Lord of the Rings, not like Captain America, and unfortunately it looks like a comic book movie to me instead of...
So with the Defenders and the upcoming of The Punisher, that's six active Marvel shows on Netflix. Hulu today announced they're making Runaways. Fox is making a new X-Men show with Bryan Singer directing the pilot. FX has Legion, which is my favorite show of the year so far, which was insane and awesome, and nothing they would ever put in a movie because it's wonderfully batshit insane.
Cloak and Daggers on
Freeform. Also this Squirrel Girl thing.
Yes. See, this is where it's...
And real fast, Green Arrow...
Oh, of course, the CW shows.
Arrow and Flash and
Leagues of Tomorrow.
And say what you want about Arrow. The first season was fine. The second season of Arrow kicked ass.
I heard it's the best one.
Oh, God, it kicked ass. Just watch the second season of Arrow, and then you'll go any further. Stop. For the love of God, stop.
And Amazon has The Tick.
That's right, yeah.
Dude, I love it.
I love The Tick.
It's great.
So, are we actually going to see, I don't know what superhero is waiting in the wings to be a new $200 million franchise.
Right.
Are they all just going to go to TV? Have we tapped out the A-lists?
Well, I don't know. I think it's
a good question.
Personally, for me, I think now it's like how much TV is too much TV.
Oh, we're fucked.
Because even getting into like the binge watching culture that we have been in for a while now, just absorbing as much as you can, as fast as you can. Like now, but they're branching out now. They're trying to hit different demographics too. Freeform is mostly a teenage kind of. It used to be ABC Family, I think. Yeah, and I think Squirrel Girl is one of the dumbest fucking characters ever.
She beat Thanos. She beat Thanos by herself.
I don't give a shit. I don't give a fuck. Man. It's a joke. The character would not work talking to Robert Downey Jr. in a movie or something. It just wouldn't work.
Oh, I
think
They
not at all, man. I don't care.
they got a really good sitcom writer writing that show.
Great. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I think whatever. But if I also think if it's because the movies affect the TV shows, the TV shows rarely affect the movies, the movies. Personally, for me, my favorite show outside of Daredevil season 2, just because I'm a fucking huge Punisher fan. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is so fucking good now, and it started from...
I'm behind, but I still don't like it very much.
What season are you on?
I'm like a month behind. Like I'm like 4 or 5 episodes behind.
You don't like season 4 at all?
No,
dude.
It is just Bob the artist trying to fuck up the plot.
Did you watch all the rest of the seasons?
Yeah.
Too? And you don't like it? No. You don't think it's steadily gotten better each season?
No, I'm alone in this.
I'm a big S.H.I.E.L.D. guy. No, you're really not. Because like when season 1 came out, I remember...
Hey, I like the Thor movies, man. Nobody likes the Thor movies like I like the Thor movies.
Hey, Eric, what's your favorite Marvel film?
Thor: Dark World.
Sorry. Right, you go in the corner.
I think you definitely might be. There's like probably dozens of you
Yeah.
that like the second one is their favorite one.
Hey, listen.
I haven't started their new arc, but I'm in the middle
really good.
of...
It's the best one.
Of Bhatti artists doing life model decoys for seemingly... Just because he can.
When you say
like,
Bhatti artists, he's referencing
Spartacus.
Because
we're
on a podcast also, no one knows what you're talking about.
Yeah, because I say John Hannah, they all know what I'm talking about.
At least you can Google him.
But I can't tell about the artist.
The guy from The Mummy.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, if you're gonna finish out the season, though, I would love to hear what you think about the arc that they're now, just because it also rewards people that have been watching from the beginning.
And
the way it tells the story is good. And I know we're getting off topic a bit, but when it comes to TV, and because a lot of like Netflix suffers, I think, from sometimes being too long.
Oh yeah,
like Defenders being 8 episodes. It's weird because like I think the regular season, Luke Cage could have been 8 episodes, 10 at the most.
I haven't finished it
yet.
Fine. Yeah.
But Defenders, now you got the 4 Netflix heroes, and it's now only 8 episodes. So it's
Shadow
like
Fist was like
Iron Fist.
Iron Fist was way too many episodes. Like,
well, I saw one so far, and that was too long.
Yeah.
Because that was a hysterically bad pilot.
It's just really too bad because it started so strong, and I still like it because I still really like to absorb it, and also how it might connect to something down the road or to like in the movies because everyone's hoping for like, just give him a shadow, just show him in the background on a TV fighting while hell's going on or something. But
I still have not seen these.
You saw Daredevil and Jessica.
I saw
Jones.
Daredevil, Jessica Jones, but I haven't seen the others.
Jessica Jones is my favorite of them all.
I don't watch Marvel, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't watch Green Arrow, any of it.
Well,
watch Legion.
Yeah, or
we watched the
watch
first
Arrow
episode.
season 2.
Legion, we watched.
So I want to kick something to you, David. I know we're going long. Where are we?
Yeah, we're
okay. That's fine. I want to kick something to you because you've been quiet.
Sure.
The Batman. Before we wrap up, but the Batman, Superman DC universe that's going on over there at DC right now. What the hell's going on over there?
Well, I talked to him yesterday.
Yeah, no.
He does prep for the show.
It's like an example of like when big studios get involved, people that have never read a comic book before making decisions on comic books.
And just saying, let's just put a name on it and sell it and sell it and sell it.
Because it's the antithesis of what's working for Marvel right now.
Right. And Marvel and DC both have had a long history of taking somebody else's idea and using the exact same frame, but just painting it in a different picture, especially in comics. Like, let's see, you've got Civil War, then you've got, what would be like something like the Dark Side War and things like that. Like, you've got both Marvel and DC, like I've said, constantly just kind of copy each other. Mm-hmm. And that's what DC's doing to Marvel right now in the cinematic universe or in cinema. DC is just trying to catch up with what Marvel's doing, and DC can't do it. They really can't. It's just they don't do
it the same way.
Yeah, at all. It's
just
throwing these things out there and expecting you, the audience member, to be okay with what you're taking in.
Yeah, I mean, the way it comes out is, because you went to see the Avengers, you're going to go see Justice League.
Right.
And the one ingredient they seem to be forgetting here is quality. Mm-hmm. And the weird thing about that...
more money doesn't mean better quality.
No, this is the studio that's making a Jungle Book movie next year. We just had a Jungle Book movie. Okay? Like,
Well, that's weirdly Andy Serkis's like pet project for years. Horrible timing. Yeah.
exactly. I mean, they
Still don't make it.
almost seem like they just throw hundreds of millions of dollars at anything, and they keep seeming to hope that it sticks, but they seem to forget to make a good movie. And I just had a comment. I know you kind of like them, Alex.
Just because I'm an unapologetic Batman fan.
Yeah.
Like, that's where I'm kind of like, oh, okay, this is not the right adaptation of this character, but it is your take on it. So I have to, for me to enjoy this movie as much as I possibly can, even if I don't, Suicide Squad was shit. It was
That's the
fucking
one I've
garbage.
seen, yeah.
But my God, when Batman was on screen, yes, awesome. But and he didn't kill anybody. Getting better. Sure. But,
That's two less people than he killed
Right.
in Batman Returns.
Yeah.
And Flash was kind of heroic for a second.
yeah, I don't know, and just for one of those things where it's like, I just have to like go, okay, this is wrong, but if this is how he's going to be, I just have to accept it to just keep watching the movie instead of constantly being like, he just killed another fucking dude. Oh my God, he probably had a family. Like, Jesus Christ.
This will be me when Doctor Who inevitably gets bad again.
Yeah.
It's been 50 years. It's been good and bad throughout the whole time. It's going to get bad. I'll keep watching.
didn't
I can't
they
make,
didn't take like a
I can't
30-year
make
break?
excuses for it.
I can't either. I'm the guy
It
that...
took a,
I won't.
a 10-year
I won't accept
off,
it.
but they tried to reboot it during it as, as
okay.
a Fox movie with Eric Roberts in it.
Fucking A, man.
For some reason, it turned into a series.
Yeah, I'm an enormous Batman fan. I've been my whole life. He's my favorite icon in pop culture. I've yet to see these movies. I almost go the other way for the same reasons you're watching it. There's the same reasons I won't watch it. It's kind of weird. Yeah, I don't know. It's like the same reason probably why I'll never watch the prequels again. But I still
Right.
love Star Wars. I mean, it's kind of
We are going to watch the director's cut of Batman vs. Superman.
I will join you for this.
Yes.
Yes.
It is better. It goes from a 6 out of 10 to probably a 7.5 out of 10.
so in my head I'm going. So it went from a 3
it
to
went from a
4.
3 to, yeah. Like, it's not going to blow your tits off.
Well, I'm just amused by the trailer that Holly Hunter is playing the opposite role of her role in The Incredibles.
Was she Mrs. Incredible?
Yeah. So she's part
Blast the
of,
girl, please.
yeah, she's part of like, the committee, right, to make them like all like regulated and like.
She's a senator, right? Yeah, she's a senator who's trying to make Superman answer for, I don't know, just like he worked for us, the U.S., the government. You can't be a single whatever fucking thing. Yeah. But, you know, Civil War, I think, captured a little bit better.
Yeah.
You know, throwing him in jail, things like that.
Following up on it.
Because there's no space Jesus.
Okay.
That's exactly right.
There's
Red Cyborg Jesus.
right?
All right, we've come to it at last, so we are going to rank our Super 5 movies. So you guys are on here, so we're going to have you give us your list and tell me what you think is your least favorite to your favorite, if you're able to do it. If you don't do math that way, you can go back the other way. So
Can I do two? One is a movie lover and one is a comic book fan?
If
Because
you-
it changes. The order changes.
Our listeners have their notepads out. They have room on the paper. This is fine.
Okay, we'll start as a movie fan.
There will be a
As
multiple
a
choice test.
as a movie fan, how would you rank these films, Alex?
I would rank it The Dark Knight, Logan, Captain America Civil War, Superman, then Batman.
Okay, and as a comic book fan,
I would rate it Logan, Captain America Civil War, Dark Knight, Superman, Batman.
okay. You don't like Batman very much.
I do not like the Tim Burton Batmans.
Get the fuck out of here.
I don't like
love it.
I don't like Returns. So, so David, your list, comic book list.
I'm probably going to catch some hell for this.
That's fine.
I'm going to go with
Howard the Duck.
All five.
I'm gonna catch some hell for this.
And the last one is his cameo in Guardians of the Galaxy.
I'm going to go with Dark Knight, Batman, Logan, Civil War, Superman.
I don't know why you would.
That seems like
That seems the most logical.
You think
list
so?
Almost. It's
Okay.
very close to mine.
there's only 5 picks.
Way
right.
to play it safe, Dave.
Mine's very similar. It's Dark Knight, Logan, Civil War, Batman, Superman.
Mine would be The Dark Knight, Logan, Batman, Captain America: Civil War, Superman.
Ooh, no love for Superman from us.
Well, it's the worst film, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
But that said,
Definitely started it off.
it needed.
needed
You
to.
can't have a list with a superhero list with Superman on it.
Right.
And one common theme, though, a lot of love for The Dark Knight. I think we all just kind of people go. Even if you don't want to, people go. Dark Knight's the best superhero movie ever, and you go. Yeah.
There are 3 podcasts on this network at this moment. All 3 of them have covered The Dark Knight in an episode now.
I mean, alone, it's got the greatest director out of this list. I mean, I personally think
Yes.
Christopher Nolan, out of all the people that direct this, are...
Yes, that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, it's so good. We didn't hardly talk about it, but good God, what else needs to be said?
Right. No, it has been covered on the internet. Don't worry.
All right, Austin, you want to take us out of here?
Yes, I do. So we have a new 5 starting in 2 days. I was trying to think of a transition for it, and I don't. So we are going back to an actor. We are going to be covering Jodie Foster, who is also a director, but we don't have any of her directorial choices on here. We have instead the following 5 films we'll be covering, which are Taxi Driver, The Accused, The Silence of the Lambs, Maverick, and Contact. We're going to find out who actually loves Maverick. Is it just me in the world? We'll find out.
Keith likes it a lot.
Keith likes Maverick?
Yeah, he likes it a lot.
I love
It's
Maverick.
good, man. Mel Gibson, man.
Yeah.
Besides all the, you know...
Yeah. So look forward to that. In 2 days, we'll be covering her role in Taxi Driver. And until then, check out the website. Leave a comment for this episode, anything we've said today, anything about the whole 5 in general. Check out The Immortals tomorrow. We are covering Unforgiven. And Borgen. I love this Danish political series, Borgen, so look forward to me talking about Borgen by myself on a podcast, while my other hosts wonder when we're going to end the episode. It's going to be great. Also, Ad Absurdum still is having its month off, but a bonus episode should be coming out around now. Eric, where else can find you?
Find me at Constant Diversion. That is my YouTube channel. And on there I cover video games, and you've probably been there already at this point.
You guys want to plug anything?
We don't have anything to plug.
I refrain from...
I don't know. Look out for Mango Dave and the Fruit Loop Boys.
Yeah, Mango Dave's coming for everybody.
Coming for everyone.
Mango Dave, the best non-Batman villain ever. So anyway, thank you guys for joining us very much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure to have real comic book experts on air, not just people that pretend to be. I was pointing at myself.
But you were looking at me.
I was. Okay, so that wraps us up. We'll catch you later, everyone.
I'm Austin.
I'm Eric.
Bye, everyone.
Birdman said.
Nothing will keep us together.